Hey everybody, and welcome back. I'm going to do one of the few intros you're going to see me do over the rest of the day before my voice goes completely gone. I'm in the backstage, and Dan's the one being pretty on the front stage. So obviously, Karis had a bit of an audio problem. Right now she's probably figuring out that she's not live anymore. The We're going to bring on Eliza to start early, and then we're just going to go on for a little longer to catch everything back up. And so, with that, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Jay. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you to Jay and Indie Game Businesses for having me today. Um, my name is Elisa Farinetti. I'm business developer at Broken Arms Games, a small Italian studio. I'll tell you a little bit about that later. Um, I have a background in computer science and worked some years as smart TV and web developer, slowly transitioning into production and business development when my business partner and I decided to open up a game development company. What I'm going to show you today in this presentation is teamwork. I would have to thank a lot of people for that, but a special one goes to my business partner and also our game designer Francesco, an incredibly talented guy, and that is actually the mastermind behind this presentation and behind all those data. Today, I'm going to take you on a post-mortem analysis on our last game, 100 Days Winemaking Simulator, released last year. A little bit of data and a little bit of strategy and decision making that we did after launch. So we start. Um, a little bit about us. Here you can see a beautiful pictures of us. Broken Arms is a indie studio based in Italy, as I was saying before. The company started unofficially in 2013. And only in 2017, 5 years ago, we shaped up as a company. Our background stays mainly in mobile development, and we slowly transitioned to PC and console in the last 3 years. That's why we have this huge interest in numbers and data, and you will see a little bit of that in this presentation. Uh, we believe that there is a way to take informative decision in game development in order to minimize your risk and grow a sustainable business, or at least that's what we try to do with our latest game, 100 Days Winemaking Simulator. Um, in this presentation and in this postmortem, we will show you what we did for a year and a half post-release. And at the end of the day, we came to the conclusion that developing and self-publishing a game looks much more like a marathon than a sprint. So the game, 100 Days Winemaking Simulator, as the name states, is a game about making wine. It's a strategic sort of simulation game. We decided to develop this game for many reasons. One being that our company and our team comes from a winemaking region in Italy. We are based in Piemonte. Um, if you're interested and curious to know more about the cultural heritage that it's inside the game, there is a lovely talk from our narrative designer Maddalena Grattarola from on GDC Vault that you can find there. I will talk more about the business side of it and the genesis of the game from a business perspective. We started pitching around this game in 2019 at GDC in March. We have generally every single person in the industry that we talked to was really interested inside the game. Still on the fence a little bit, as they didn't understand completely the possible target audience for it. And we started thinking about a way to move out those doubts and to clear our position. And we started to research some data, trying to answer just a simple question, really a super simple question: is there a market for this game, first of all, and how big it is? Here started what we call our marathon. We released the Steam page in July 2019. in order to see if we can get any traction there. We started scraping data every single day and tracking them down on a public Excel. If you want to have a look at it, you can go through our Twitter account and find old posts where we link this Excel file is still online. We track down for every single day page visits, unique users, wishlist addition and balance, and the top countries that were visiting our game and that we got wishlists from. We started getting a little bit of traction thanks to a couple of, what we tracked down to be two things. First of all, a Reddit post that ended up generating an article on Destructoid. A journalist from the Destructoid website discovered about us in a subreddit on wine, and because he was interested in wine, he decided to create an article on the game. And some successful tweets and buzz across social media thanks to the game developer community. Analyzing those data for the first few weeks, we started to understand correctly what ended up being our top sales country. From wishlist to page visit, we understood exactly where our people were coming from, and this helped us a lot while we were planning for localization. Localization of a game page is key, both for the store to grow data, of course, but also looking at the game release. It's important for you as a developer to plan for the right languages to be added to the game and to make sure that you are covering the right countries and nations. Also, after release, during the sales, to get possible deals on platforms, if you cover the right countries, there are opportunities there that are there for you. We constantly updated this document, and we constantly analyzed those data for over a year until release, every single day. It was a manual job, like one of us in the team did that by hand every single day. And while we were analyzing our data, we were comparing them to other publicly available. Especially, we followed the work of Simon Careless, the game discoverability Substack, and tried to project through his prediction method if our numbers and if our metrics were right or wrong. We started to create some models about possible sales and revenue, and we worked on that model for a lot of time, trying to figure out possible scenario for that. As an incredible lady once told me, the gap between reality and expectation is called sadness. Even if our number kept growing for almost 2 years and we were super happy, we were always thinking about the worst case scenario. Someone also suggested me that that's probably the developer mindset as well. We were thinking about the worst case scenario while we were planning for a possible good outcome. Based on game discoverability Substack and its conversion data and numbers, we kept updating our expected scenario, slowly transitioning from wishlist growth to follower growth. If you are familiar with the wishlist analytics and numbers, you definitely saw the shift between those two metrics. We even had plan for a surviving mode, as we call it. We took down the company costs and estimates how many copies we should have sold to keep the boat floating. That's an important metrics because, even in the months where we were not seeing huge numbers, that having that metric written down on a piece of paper just to reassure us that we were safe and that we were still in a positive scenario when things were not going perfectly well. So here is the moment of truth. It's release day. Those are the numbers of the first few months. As you may see, numbers drop down pretty quickly. But one thing that I want to mention is that over the first 3 months after release, we updated the game almost weekly, and we kept communicating with our Discord community to get feedbacks and to iterate on stuff that weren't working as players wanted them to be work. We were able to afford major development post-launch due to the first month sales. Here you can see what the first month sales count is actually a little bit over the first week. Deals in place we had at day one also supported us a little bit and made us able to take the game onto other platforms. And mainly, we were able to support and to keep working on the game, to treat it as a live op product because of the community and the support that they gave us, communicating and promoting every single day the game on our behalf. One reality check that I want to point out. Immediately after launch, we realized something that we didn't expect. For 1 hour, we were in the... Oh, sorry. Yeah, for 1 hour, we were in the top seller charts of Steam in the front page, and we were close to Biomutant. You can see it there. An incredible game, way bigger production than us, so nothing to actually compare ourselves to be completely honest. In that same hour, we sold around 300 copies. That means that Biomutant probably sold a little less than us, 299 or something like that. As a developers and players, we are always used to see the huge, incredible numbers by big AAA titles, and we always imagine that the game in the top seller charts were in order of 100,000s, and reality and the reality check that we had at the time was that in order to get to those 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 copies, you need to go through these hours in which you sell 300 copies per hour. And selling 300 copies in 1 hour for a team like us is already a success. And I think that as a developer, we need to celebrate that a little bit more. We usually don't celebrate that too much. And it's a mistake, definitely. Then what happens? As I said before, the gap between expectation and reality is called sadness, but still, we were super happy with those results. Even if lower than our expectation, we were still in the positive side of the scenario. One thing that I want to point out is that this has been our process and our successful for us as a company in that specific moment in time. Once everyone starts look for a specific metric, for example, wish list, that metric stops to be meaningful, stops to have that same weight on your success. My personal opinion is that a successful game is a combination of a lot of factors, and as a developer, you can control only some of them, not all of them. So be prepared to that. Immediately after launch, we started planning for sales. On our previous game, Atomine, that didn't sell that well at launch, we worked a lot on discount and planning sales, as the game didn't sell that well in the first few months. But we ended up, because we have this planning on the table, we ended up selling decent copies at the end of the day after 5 years from launch. So immediately after releasing 100 Days, we were like, okay, let's fix the major bugs and the major things we have, and then we start working immediately on our sales strategy. Even if 100 Days is a premium game, we treated it from day one as a game as a service, and that's what's coming probably from our background in mobile development. We knew that there was a chance to capitalize more on our user base and grow this user base during the lifetime of the game. I want to point out one thing. Game as a service from a small team like us. When we released the game, we were in 6. It's an incredible effort. Like, it's not an easy job. A team like us usually should have next game signed or secured in terms of funding before releasing the current one. We took a big risk because we invested everything that the company had in terms of resources, every single penny from day one into developing further 100 days. But the road was immediately clear for us. 100 days will never be an EP, doesn't have the characteristics to be one. But we can grow a community there. We can create a group of people that will love what we are doing, and then these people, we can cultivate them as fans and making work them for the next few projects that will come after 100 days. So here you can see a post-release timeline of what we were planning actually, and what we achieved after release. Some of them were planned correctly, some others were postponed or anticipated. Things happen, so don't beat yourself up too much, I would say. I will share some data on why some stuff were delayed and what's the strategy around that. So here you can see a little bit of a sales schedule for the first few months after release, and I want to point out a couple of things. We all know that players, especially on Steam, love sales, but as a developer, we know how much from Steam takes from every single copy we sell, and we wanted from the beginning to maximize our income. Our philosophy is pretty simple. Don't discount so quickly with a high percentage. Even if your game has sold few copies at launch, don't be tempted to discount heavily to boost sales. It doesn't work like that. Instead of that, try to follow your user base and do little updates, and chase every single discount opportunity. Go down little by little and earn the most from every single copy. And especially if you can afford to keep developing the game and keep optimizing it, what will happen, or what you will see, is that the perceived value of your project from the players is increasing, and even if you're discounting, you will get bigger volumes because it gets perceived as a better game, maybe after months. This has been our sales schedule for over the first 10 months. We applied to every single possible sale, and yeah, with a reasonable depreciation queue, I would say. Nothing extraordinary, not too aggressive, just a little by little, but constant. One thing that we understood after, I would say, 6 months from launch, and that we did comparing data, it's the difference between bigger sales like the seasonal one compared to shorter, more focused sales deals and times. I want to point out a couple of things here. So conversion happens in the first 24 to 48 hours. Almost 40% of your sales happens in this time span, so in the first day or 2 day. Between all the different sales that we did, the one that were most successful, and the one that also attracted new people, so we saw an increase in wishlist balance, was a team one, the Tabletop Fest. Probably because in that specific event we showcased the game to a different audience. Steam is huge. It's an incredible huge black box, and there are pockets of players that see only what the algorithm suggests to them. If you get the chance to get your game in front of new audience, new niches, new pockets, do it. The sale went really well in terms of money and revenues, of course, but what happened is that we also increased the wish list. So there was new people getting into a game page. There was new people that could have been interested in the future to buy the game at a probably higher discount sale. So that was really, really, really interesting for us. We treat those team related sales also as a marketing effort, not just as a pure sale and discount. Another thing that we saw is that during the seasonal sales, the big one like Halloween or the autumn sales, you are selling to your own audience. What's happened is that you're selling to the people that already have the game in their wish list, but you also have a lot of people that, because they received so many emails with all the discount of the time, delete your game from their wish list because they are just overwhelmed and they clean up their wish list queue. So even if huge big sales and the major sales moments are good, think about the fact that you are just selling to the same people that already knew the game compared to smaller sales in which you are attracting new audience to your game. A personal outcome that we understood after analyzing those data is that we must keep attracting new people to the game and to wishlist it, because those people will convert one day or another during the next occasion. And that's so important because like that will keep your sales queue and your revenue queue stable and not dropping down completely. As you can see from our data, Steam makes a lot of our sales for the PC platform, definitely. And we knew that from day one, but we still decided to take the game on other stores such as Epic Game Store and Google Stadia. RIP to them. That was a specific commitment we did looking at the future. Both platforms, we launched on both platforms at the launch at the same time with Steam. And both stores are always looking for extra content for their services. And being there at launch enabled us to make some extra money on top of the sales through direct deals that we did with the platform. Stadia Pro and the Epic free week and free deals. Another thing that we used and let's say we tried out during our first year after release was the cross-publisher bundle. In July 2021, Steam released a new feature, the cross-publisher bundle, that allowed developer to get together with other devs and create this bundle cross publisher or cross devs. Since we started working on 100 Days and communicating 100 Days, we saw some titles that were in production at the same time as us, and we admire them for many reasons. Good companies, Notopia, have been all on our Twitter feeds and stuff while we were developing 100 Days. So we were in connection with those devs. We met them at events. We were part of their Discord. They were part of our Discord server. So we knew each other. Being the only game in self-publish, because both of them have publishers, as soon as we saw this new feature coming up, we decided to connect with the other devs and propose a wholesome management bundle, as we call it. We knew it was a long shot, especially because both of them have two entities involved, the developer and the publisher, but we tried to do it anyway. They accepted our offer and we created the bundle. This metric is a little bit old, I would say. I think we are way over. I think it's still in September, August this year. We are way over those numbers, but still, like in the first few months, in the first year almost, the bundle increased our sale of 560 units. It's not a lot, being completely honest. We expected to do a little bit more, but still, look at the revenue on the other side. It's almost $8,000 that we wouldn't have made if there wasn't for the bundle. And especially because we participate to similar sale, because we are in the same genre, I would say. We saw increased sold copies of the bundle while we were in sale together. So it's always good to use those tools that the platform give to us as a developer to experiment new marketing and new stuff. We planned to port the game to console from day one, and we plan to have DLCs from day one. We just didn't know exactly how and when this could have happened. DLCs especially cost us a lot to develop, more than what we plan in advance, and conversion from still say was not enough for us to afford the development. But because we promised a couple of them to our community, and we wanted to be loyal to them as much as they've been to us, we started thinking about extra way to get extra money and cover better those dev costs. One idea that came up, because we were close to the end of last year and we were working on the Napa Valley DLC. One idea was like, okay, let's postpone a little bit the DLC. Let's publish it in December. First of all, we will take advantage of the winter sales, and it was the first time in which the game was 30% off. So if we release a new content with 10% discount because it's at release, and then there is also the 30% discount on the game, we will have people buying the bundle, the game together with the first DLC, and we can incentivize those users to actually give us a little bit of extra money. And also, second of all, we were planning to have the console porting at the beginning of 2022. Why not creating an extended edition on console so that we can price it a little bit higher? And that's what we did. The game retails at $24.99 on PC, and on console it's $29.99 because it's bundled up together with the first DLC. And actually, being completely honest, after almost a year now, we definitely took the right decision there, because the console edition is selling really well, especially on Switch, and definitely covered all the extra costs that we didn't expect. Another thing that I want to point out is that while we released the DLC on Google Stadia, and we were already part of the Stadia Pro, we had a lot of players actually buying the DLC because they were playing the game for free or inside their subscription plan, and they bought the DLC, just to support us. And that happened as well 2 months ago when we were part of the Epic free deal of the week. We saw a huge increase in DLC sales, so that is good because it's still extra money that we get on top of it. Another thing that happened that we didn't expect is that because the game is based in our region, in Piemonte, in Italy, and it has our grape varieties and wine varieties from our region, releasing something that has a more international taste, such as Napa, activated a new region that we didn't expect, that was Australia, that immediately jumped up in our top 10 selling countries. A little bit on our console launch. Nintendo launch has been difficult due to technical reason mainly, but we definitely learned something there as well. Small numbers of copies sold at $30 almost makes a lot of margin, much more than what we expected, and we have been able to do that because to price the game higher because of the DLC. So getting that extra content on Nintendo was the right choice. There is this myth, I would say, that Switch players are used to pay everything higher. It has been a difficult conversation for us because the game was already on mobile, retailing at $5.99, and a lot of Switch players and the Nintendo communities were concerned, let's say politely, about the fact that they were buying a mobile game for $29.99 on Switch. It was hard to present to them the differences between the two platforms. Japan and US are the countries that drove most sales on Nintendo, but also a lot of visibility. We have to thank also Nintendo Japan for it, because they were in love with the game, and I think that they pushed the game to a lot of their player in different channels that we probably didn't have even the visibility to see that, but like the traffic from Japan was really high. As a PC focused developer coming from mobile as well, working on console where there is little to no data is pretty stressful. Region locked stores make it more difficult also to understand what's actually happening in other regions, and if you have any sort of visibility, I mean, can be tricky. For that reason, I'm saying that we think that they push the game to some other channels because we have no idea actually. One thing that I want to advise all the devs that are on the other side is that maybe it's a personal opinion, I don't know, but Nintendo Press took a little bit more time than generic press to review the game. If a PC copy got a review in average into 3 to 4 days mainly, Nintendo Press took on average 8 to 10 days. So I recommend you to plan accordingly and give yourself and to the Nintendo Press a little bit extra time to come out with the press release and with the reviews. Oops. Yeah, okay. Another thing that we found was really important for us was keep communicating the game. Even though it's not simple to track down the impact on sales, we kept talking about the game on different social media channels. I definitely suggest all of you to look into Reddit. Reddit is a great way to promote your game directly to players, especially when you are in sales or on discount, or you have like you release a DLC or something. There is a bunch of channels and they are really active. We know that we have a niche audience, and our focus was mainly to keep searching for this niche audience, for these pockets of players, in order for us to have sales on the long run mainly. One event that I want to point out is what we call the Stadia Input Touch Affair. We released the mobile version in 2021 and promoted to tweet on Twitter, on Reddit, social media in general. As soon as the Stadia community saw that we were releasing on a platform that had the input touch system, they were so kind and nice, raising their voices and asking if we can support the direct input touch feature on Stadia platform. At the time, we didn't do it. We didn't do it at launch. We had some issues. I don't remember exactly what, but like something was failing during certification. So we were like, okay, it's not mandatory to have it. Let's cut it out. Mobile and Stadia platform were not related, were not the same kind of users, totally different people. When they started raising and asking for the input touch on 100 days, we were like, okay, my business partner Eve tweeted, okay, we are investigating this feature. It might take a while because we don't know if it's working. We'll keep you posted. They were incredibly supportive on us. Our Twitter profile went on fire. They kept tweeting about us, about the fact that we were investigating this issue. The Stadia technical team support saw that. They helped us a little bit because we had a couple of technical issues there. And in January 2022, we released the input touch support on Stadia. At that time, we were part of the Stadia Pro, so we between December and January, in a month, we see an increase of 25% in gameplay session, just because we follow what the community was asking, and we released a basically new feature that took us a couple of weeks and studied team support to develop. So that was an incredible and outstanding number for us. Through Twitter, Steam Community Hub, Discord, we build our community before, during launch, and after it. Even if the game has been constantly updated with new content, feature, and bug fix, we always kept communicating and kept the community engaged as much as possible. We even created a small mini game on wine only for the Discord server. This mini game doesn't convert in the community into paying users, but it keeps them active between releases and retain them into the server. So one thing that I want to suggest to all of you is keep engaging and keep talking and communicating with your community. It's incredible what players can do for your game. A little analysis on some data that I'm close to the end, but like there is a couple of slides more with some data and then it's over. After launch, we understood also other metrics that are important for post-release, especially the engagement numbers. Those can drive possible future deals, like Game Pass, for example, or at least can show a different aspect of your product and company in your game. Maybe you don't have huge numbers. I mean, we sold 60,000 copies over 60,000 copies over a year and a half. It's not an incredible and huge number, but like the engagement and the average time played, the sessions, these show that, and that proved our point, the game deserved to be there. You can always use those numbers as a negotiation tool, and actually, being completely honest, these are the most important number, because you want people to keep playing what you're doing, keep playing your game, and the more they get into, the more they stay into your game, the more they will communicate it outside, the more they will spread their voices on your game. Other two things to notice, is that Argentina is the country on, and you can see on the list of countries and copies. Argentina is the country in which Steam prices adjustment has the lower rates ever. So in Argentina, games are way cheaper, and bots buy games through VPN system from that country. Another thing that you can notice in this list of sales is that Italy doesn't appear in top 10 countries. Even though the game is based in Italy, talks about the Italian, has a lot of Italian cultural heritage inside, and talks about an Italian region, and it's developed by an Italian company. Italian players don't consume indie games. And we already knew that, but let's say that those numbers made it much more clear to us. So, coming to an end. 100 Days Winemaking Simulator release has been an incredible experience for our company. We planned in advance some operation, we didn't plan some others. In this process, we understood that some of the best opportunity came step by step while the day passed through. Just a conclusion. If day 1, day 7, day 30 sales are not as you expected, and as a developer you can afford it, try to keep following your release daily and check those numbers to see what affect them. Poor sales at day 1 don't necessarily mean that you will not sell some decent copies in the end. Prepare yourself for quite a marathon. A good start is good, but make sure your leg will last for the whole journey. Thank you so much. If you have any question, I'm here.
Well, hi there.
Hi, Dan.
How are you?
Awesome.
Excellent. Okay, well, there is some questions. We've got some questions queued up. So Dan on YouTube, Dan Silvers, he asks, how do you recommend finding other developers for setting up Steam bundles?
Check I mean, there are many ways to do that, I would say. First of all, look at Twitter. I found that, I mean, until Twitter lasts, because we don't know until it will last, Twitter, the devs community sharing what they are developing and sharing what they are creating on Twitter is one of the best way to get in touch with the dev community in general. So start from there. Um, you can find similar games if you look at like hashtags or stuff that you are using to promote your own game. The other thing that you can have a look at it is maybe the suggested games at the end of your Steam page. Maybe there is something there that the algorithm recognizes similar to you, or that players that that are playing your game are playing. So this can be a good connection point to enlarge your audience. And the last one, I would say, if you participate to any team related sale event on Steam, try to connect with those devs, like, and try to connect also with the organizer of the event. We did the tabletop one with the organized by the Orok team in UK, and actually we connected with them. We had a lot of interaction with them. So try to navigate your way into the devs community, and I think you will definitely find something there.
So many devs are like, oh, that game is competition to my game because it's similar. But
Yeah.
man, you come together and join forces. Like, I like
Exactly.
a certain type of game. I want to play all the games that are good in that genre, right?
That's the other factor. Like there are genre that I say they keep giving, like, because players play one and then they move to the next one, and they move to the next one. There are genre that are much more difficult. Like if you think about sports game or racing game, if you love that one, you're gonna probably play that single one for a long time. But especially in our space, the strategy simulation management, it's players are crazy. They play everything that comes out on Steam. So yeah, I totally agree with that. Don't see the others as competition, never.
No, see them as friends because you can
Exactly.
help each other.
Exactly.
How do you approach Reddit posts since that community is so different?
Good question, because there is also cultural stuff there. Like, we are Italian and we are not that used to use Reddit, I would say. We got into Reddit really slowly. Like, it was a super slow process for us. First of all, like, we started reading subreddits, not even interacting, like reading for days, maybe just upping some posts or some answer, but really slowly. And then we started to get into the water and posting some stuff. The main thing that we usually did was like trying not to sell something. I mean, it's not like direct selling to someone, but more like, okay, because you're saying that and you love that, inside our game we are doing this and that. Like, trying to get a connection point somewhere, maybe coming from other threads and from other conversation that there are in Reddit. And yeah, it's not easy. It's definitely not easy. It takes a lot of time. Like, Reddit is one of these time-consuming work, I would say.
And Reddit can be so toxic and weird, right? Like,
yeah,
trying to give advice to people, or like somebody has a question about something and you try and help them. Then there'll be a bunch of other people just like condemning you for the advice you gave, even if it's solid advice.
Yeah.
Reddit is pretty crazy.
It's difficult. Yeah, it's not easy.
Which social media platforms performed best for raising awareness?
For us, it was Twitter mainly, completely. Like, I can point out that Twitter had the best conversion, but I can, because like I don't have any specific data in relations to this data. What I can say is that Twitter put us in front of most people that ended up talking about our game after. Like, we got free press and free marketing through Twitter. It's really hard to track down. Like now, like Steam pages can add the UTM link at the end of your URL, and you can track down a little bit. But like, still, you don't have massive information. Like, if you come from on mobile platform, you have specific tools that can give you attribution, so you can track down if this player had bought your game coming from that specific website. On Steam is still not possible completely, like it's difficult, but definitely Twitter put us in front of press and people and also streamers. We were lucky, we got a couple of huge streamers playing the game during our launch day, and we didn't plan that. We haven't been in communication with them. They just discovered the game through Twitter, I would say.
And it's nice to someone to mention your game or whatever in a thread, and then you see a bunch of like replies to it, right? Oh, that feels so good when you're like scrolling down. You're like, yes, this is all that stuff. All right, Jay says that Jay's got a comment. I've nearly given up on posting in Reddit. I'm a 90% lurker at this point.
I understand that. Yeah, I totally understand that.
How did you stand out in all the noise on Twitter, though?
Difficult, really difficult. I mean, now it's getting bigger and it's definitely noisier than before. Again, it was the dev community that helped us, because we were part maybe of the same event, and we were like resharing and liking each other content, and that help put us in front of the right person and the right people. Under Daisy's Broken Arms games work, but the whole marketing communication was a broader experience and a broader, I would say, work that we did with a lot of indie and dev friends. Also participating to events, but it was before COVID, so now it's a little bit different. We participated to a lot of events, and we were part of the game selected for the showcases. Usually when you're there, you have bigger spaces to communicate. You have tweets and retweets from the organizers, so it's a little bit different probably than right now. But events are coming back, so
yeah, events like these. So Dan Silver says, I never use my main Reddit account. The whole no self-promotion rule means you have to set up your own sub and get everyone to come to it just to learn about your game. A bit redundant to Discord. It is definitely, you got to have the bandwidth for it, for sure.
Yeah, that's a whole, like, we have our own subreddit for the game, but we have just a few hundred people, I would say. Yeah, the self-promotion rule is difficult. Like, some subreddits allows for self-promotion after you have interacted for a certain amount of time or after you have invested something of yourself into the subreddit, and that's the tricky part. You have to put time and work on it.
Right. And Discord is such a, like, people are in usually at least 100 Discords, so then you got to also stand out in that Discord, right? And it's
always
a lot.
discoverability. It's always on different levels, but it's always that.
What did you do in terms of pre-production to justify the market for the game?
I mean, we analyzed a little bit another game that was the only competitor on wine related stuff that is on Steam. It's called Terroir. We analyzed that, especially looking at reviews. We analyzed a little bit of the board game market, like wine themed board games are pretty popular. Some of the highest selling board game are related to wine, viticulture, for example, or others. And we digged a little bit into their data, because on the board game side you can find much more information, because some of those companies are publics and they have reports on how much they're selling and stuff. So yeah, we did a little bit of Discord research into that space.
Interesting. What is the best way to reach out to the companies to do the cross-publisher bundles?
I would say connect with some of their person on Twitter. and just get in touch, and you have to appreciate their work in order to make it, like, you have to come in a way that you're liking what they're doing and you want to join forces. Also, the the companies that we did it with are, I would say, our size or just a little bit bigger than us.
Mhm.
I mean, we didn't ask that to really huge companies, so it's a little bit easier because, again, we are in the same spot, and we need discoverability, we need marketing, we need free stuff combined together. So yeah, if you target the right one in terms of sizes and scope, and think about a way also to sell it to them, like there should be a proposition for you, like you are asking for the cross publisher bundle because you think that your game and your user base and their user base and their game fits with you in some ways. So yeah, just ask. Most of the developers are really friendly and really nice.
Yeah, it seems like it's a little bit more difficult to reach out to like somebody that is huge and get them to help you out, because
That's
they're
much more
already
difficult. Absolutely,
right.
absolutely.
So Jay has a comment. I think he spelled drinking years ago. He worked on a wine drinking game years ago, right? No,
Nice.
yeah, wine making game. He's back there shaking his head. No, that's hilarious.
Nice.
Okay, here's another question. Here's a question from LGGS on YouTube. Hi, Lisa. Great talk. Do you think China is a good market in general, or does it depend on the genre?
Thank you so much for the appreciation. China is complicated. Again, we have big numbers in China, but we know that all those numbers are coming through VPN, so it's not like the game hasn't gone through the censorship stuff in China, so we are not actually officially there. China is a huge market, definitely. Like, I would say that the whole Asian market in general is pretty huge for us. Like, even Korea and Japan they have incredible numbers. The other thing that we didn't think about is that the game is localized in two different Chinese, traditional and simplified Chinese, and there are so many Chinese speaking people overseas also. So the fact that the game supports their native languages while they are overseas, Germany, US, or whatever, it's a huge plus for them.
Mm-hmm.
It's a way for them to feel back home somehow. Like, we discovered that we discovered that through Discord. We have people come that are originally from Asia in general, like in different places, and their native language is different, is not English, that they live in the US or in other countries, and they are playing the game in their native languages because it feels like being back home.
Oh, that's neat. That's cool.
Yeah, that's
so
super nice.
Drop your questions in here. We do have some more queued up, but if you have any questions, we would love for her to answer them. How did you make the game stand out from all the other games in the Steam sale?
Difficult again. The major sales, like the seasonal one, it's quite impossible to stand out, being completely honest. You just convert from your wish list mainly. The smaller events are the one in which you can show off a little bit, especially like, for example, the Tabletop Fest has been really, really good for us. The event organizer also invited us into some panels, so we did a little stream event. We did stream the game into our page during the event. So obviously it's difficult, like when you have hundreds and hundreds of game in sales at the same time, it's absolutely difficult to but if you happen to attend the other events, a smaller one, remember that maybe you're not selling huge numbers, but there will be new people knowing your game that maybe are not buying it now, but maybe they will buy it in the next good time that is coming. So maybe in other 3 months they will buy it because you will be in discount again, so on sale again. So yeah.
And that's just good exposure. right?
Yeah, it's always like it's the thing that I was saying. Like, you have to keep pushing your game in front of people, because like the Steam algorithm does it is what it is. Like, it does it at a certain level. You need to force it and to push it to the next level.
Did you do anything special, like on your end during the Steam sale? Was there like some social media pushes, marketing pushes?
A little bit on social media, definitely, always on Twitter, or like some subreddits. Oh, sorry, some subreddits, definitely, but nothing. I would say no paid marketing or stuff like that. No, not at all. It was all by hand and
It's all
done
organic,
internally.
organic,
Organic marketing.
organic marketing, right? Organically digital.
Yeah.
So Nolex on YouTube says, do you see good sales during Black Friday? It's the big sale for some games.
Not much, I would say. Also, like, that's another like opinion, so I don't have any facts and numbers to prove it. I think we perform better in the first 2 quarters of the year, much more than in the last part of the year, mainly because like between Q3 and Q4, usually the big AAAs comes out, and the big AAAs, maybe they do their first discount there. So that's another, like, it's again an impression. We don't have any data to point it out, but yeah, we performed much better in Q1 and Q2.
Okay. So Black Friday was kind of like,
No, I mean, yeah, we sold some copies, but nothing that stood out in any way. Nothing extraordinary to
Did you
out.
do a big sale for Black Friday?
No, I think because we were waiting to do a bigger one, starting later tomorrow, yeah. Because we will be part of the turn-based sale on Steam. So that's another thing that another decision that we make. Like, during the bigger sales, we keep the discount at the same price that it was the previous one. Then when we participate in the smaller events, the one that give us much more visibility, then in that case we increase the discount, so that we can have much volume, because we are in front of more people. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Which question do I want to ask here? I think I know who wrote this one. Are there any good Discord servers you would recommend for networking with other devs besides the IGB one?
Okay, I was like always suggesting the IGB one, definitely. Give me a second. I'll check on my Discord what I have, because I have no idea. Like, and because I don't remember the names of the servers. But yeah, I was thinking, like, for us, for example, in Italy, the National Game Dev Association has one, and that's really useful. Like, when we usually network a lot there. The IGDA one as well. It's probably, those are much more, I would say, technical, like much more dev and engineering oriented, probably, much more than business. But definitely there is always people that you can share some stuff with. I'm personally part of some Discord server for some events that we did, like the Indie Megaboot alumni, or the Beat Summit. Those are events that we participated in, and then we are part of the Discord server, and we network there, and we network with people that or we have met in person, or those people were like, we were in a panel together, we were doing stuff together, so we already had a point in which we start the conversation. So yeah.
Right. That's what's awesome about events, right? You get to meet people, even online events, right? You get to
Yeah,
meet people,
absolutely,
hang out,
absolutely.
talk a little bit. And I
Yeah.
mean, it's awesome to meet face to face, but it's also awesome to, just have a conversation and
Being
hang out.
completely honest, we increased a lot of our community, our dev friends community during the COVID season, because like when events are in presence, you can travel to just as many as them you can afford. Like for us, it's always like a couple of them, maybe 3 in a year, not more.
Mhm.
And you can be in anywhere. But when you're online, it's much more different, and you can connect with so many other people.
You can only talk to so many people at a conference, right?
That's the other
Online, you can
yeah.
talk to 50 people a day.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And if you're a shy person, maybe you know what you're like. If I am at conference, I'm not one of the person that networks a lot in presence. I would say my business partner does that much better than me.
Mhm.
So if I am at an event, a digital one, and I have to open up a chat, I will do it because I'm much more comfortable opening up a chat and just discuss some stuff, or jumping into a conversation maybe on a Discord server, much more
Mhm.
than in real life, and
Like an
jumping.
introvert in
Yeah.
real life, but an extrovert online, right?
Yeah.
And people online, in a way, they're more genuine, because people will just say what they think online, and they also get right to the point. When
Yeah.
you're talking with someone in person, there's like a conversation: how you doing, what's going on today, and you have this little talk first, and then maybe
Yeah.
get to the point. When you're online, you might get a message, and it's just like, this is what I want, or this is what we,
Exactly.
and I like online communication, and people just need to get used to that's just the way that it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
What tools did you use to manage the communities across so many platforms?
A lot of monitors, I would say. No, I mean, let's say that we split up the work between. We didn't use any specific tool, like we didn't use anything automated, I would say. We just split the work between myself, my business partner, and a little bit of our game designer. So, for example, our Discord community is only handled by my business partner. He's the Discord guy. He's the one that talks with everyone there. He knows everyone there as well. I'm the Twitter person. Like, if you read some tweets on our profile, it's always like 99.9% of the time it's me. And the Reddit, for example, like our game designer did a lot of it, just because it was much more familiar, and he was already in some of those subreddits. So we didn't use any specific tool, I would say. And we plan it a little bit, like every morning or every day, like during lunch break or at coffee break, we were just like, okay, let's browse through Twitter and see if someone tweeted something.
So you didn't use like TweetDeck or Hootsuite
No,
or none of that kind of stuff?
No.
So do you plan out the month of your social media posts, or do you just kind of organically do it? Like, oh, today I'm going to post this.
When
Whatever is
we
feeling
had
right.
events, we were planning stuff. Like if we were attending events, I was planning stuff beforehand. If otherwise, like during the production moments, it was just okay, we are creating something, the devs are like pushing on something interesting into the project, let's create a gif of it because it's funny, and we post it. Like it was much more. For weeks we didn't publish anything, and we didn't post anything about the game. We are not definitely not constant and like getting out one piece of content every day or week. Absolutely not. We didn't do that, and that's a mistake. Actually, you have to be like the social media platforms in general like works better if you're consistent and if you keep
5 tweets a day. That's the minimum, right?
Yeah, I mean, but the only thing that we were consistent in was a little bit of Screenshot Saturday, for example, or the Follow Wednesday. I don't remember how it's called. Like we did a little bit of that, and that was
Follow
working.
Friday.
Follow Friday, yeah, Follow Friday. Yeah, we did a couple of them, and we were planning only if we knew that there was something coming up that was meaningful, actually.
Follow Fridays, it was huge years ago, right? And then
Yeah,
it just kind of faded out. But
absolutely.
now
Yeah.
I see people starting to start doing it again. And then that's when you see like responses. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, do all those people follow all the people in the Follow Friday list? Maybe.
Maybe,
Or
or
maybe
maybe
not.
just a couple of them. So yeah.
At least, but there's at least this exposure. It's in your
Yeah,
face.
exactly.
It's right there.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, here we go. I'm interested in this. Can you go into more detail about what the Discord game was and how you created it?
Okay, I'll try to give you as much detail as I know because I didn't do it. So we hired a proper dev that does Discord bots. So mainly is a bot on which you, with some text command, you can create your own winery. It's a sort of a idle game, I would say. So the more the hour pass by, the more wine you are producing, actually, and you can check it out while you are through some comments on your Discord. I didn't have any idea on the technical side how it's made because I didn't follow that part. So if you want to any more information, just write us a message on Twitter and I'll ask my business partner to give you some feedbacks on that, because I have no idea how they made it, and it's running on a server, but I don't remember exactly when and
have you played
where.
it?
Yeah, absolutely. While we were testing it a little bit, and actually it was really funny because we were delaying the DLC, and we were like, okay, let's give to the community something so they can entertain themselves and they can stay there. And when we said, listen, we have like a closed circle of like couple of people that are inside the Discord from day one that are our probably the admins, that the one that actually interact the most on Discord, and we
Your
were like,
biggest fans.
yeah, probably. I mean, they are friends. Some of them also came here to visit, so they are friends now. But they're not even our community. They're much more than that. We pushed the mini game to them, and they were like, "Okay, that's addictive. Once you're gonna push that out, no one will care anymore about the game." And it was super funny because when we released it, everyone was like trying to create more bottle per hour or stuff. They were so funny. And then I would say a little bit racing between each other and joking. It was so funny to see. Yeah, absolutely.
Was there leaderboards?
Yeah, there is a leaderboard. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There you go. Competitive winemaking simulator. Right?
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right. Unless anybody else has any questions, I would love for y'all to drop questions in here. I've got one more right here. Are you going to self-publish your next game?
We don't know. We have one game in production at the moment that we probably end up self-publishing. We have another project that we don't know yet what we're gonna do. We'll see what happens. Like, we love self-publishing stuff. We love to be in control of your numbers or of what we are doing. So but we are not against publisher either. Like, it's not that there is something evil on the other side. Absolutely.
Right.
No, absolutely. There are lovely people on the other side, and some project and products need a publisher, some other don't. Also, 100 Days was a pretty personal game, I would say, because it's related to a lot of family histories of ours, and it's related to a lot of things that are in our culture, in our heritage. So self-publishing was the best idea for us. We knew we had a lot of infos into the wine industry. We have friends, and also my business partner used to produce wine, so we knew what we were doing there. We love to self-publish stuff. We don't know if we will still do it in the future. It depends on a lot of factors, actually.
It's that's like the biggest answer that we have on indie game business is It depends.
Depends. Yeah.
It depends. Maybe we'll let you know when it happens.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you so much. This is awesome. This was a great talk. We really appreciate you coming on here and appreciate your
Thank you so
time.
much, Dan.
If you would like to shout out anything, any self-promotion, go to Broken Iron Games, check it out. Any
Yeah,
other
absolutely.
thing you'd like to?
And tomorrow, this time-ish, probably a little bit later, we will be on sale on Steam. So if you want to try out the game, it's there.
Oh, so it's on sale tomorrow. That's
Yeah,
perfect. Perfect. So next up, we have Carla Reyes and Kelly Wallach, making sense in a post-pandemic world, navigating fundraising. Oh, that's going to be a good
wow,
one.
nice.
So yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Bye.